Welcome back to Railguns and Dragons. I'm one of your hosts, Vince, sitting alongside Rob.
Hi, everyone.
You sound very structured there, Rob. You're like, hello, everyone. How are you?
I'm very proper today.
Yes,
Hello,
I'm
everyone.
Rob, your very co-host today. So welcome back to another episode. Sorry it's taking a little bit of time for the third episode. We just had, we're waiting to see what people thought of the first couple episodes. We got some good feedback. And, we wanted just to see if people wanted us to continue. And people were like, yeah, we want to hear more. So, yeah, here we are. Third episode today. So what's going to be our theme for today, Rob?
Today's going to be inspiration.
Yeah.
Ideas that the Game Master can pick up and run with.
Right. And it seemed like we were doing a little bit of a trend of going over things from the book. And I was just like, you know what? Why don't we throw them a curveball? Give them that knuckleball, throw it across home plate, and kind of make it let's do ideas today. We're going to have a bunch of seed ideas for you. As Rob said, we're going to spill out our seeds and we're going to compare them and see which ones stick. That's gross.
Oh.
But anyway.
I would not have worded it that way, but
why not?
there you go.
To start things off, railgunsanddragons.com is our website. Ask the DM at theevildm.com is our email address for now. I don't know if we'll get a real email address because I don't feel like monitoring another one, and neither does Rob at this point. So just title your email, Railguns and Dragons, or go to railgunsanddragons.com and click on the contact little side there, and it'll automatically send us an email.
Sounds good to me.
So today's show, like Rob said, it's going to be seeds, campaign seeds, where we kind of present little ideas for you, and you can kind of roll with them if you like them or not. We'll present the little idea. We'll kind of explore it a little bit, see what happens with it. Maybe it might spark an idea in someone out there. Who knows? If it does, awesome. If not, then, it's there for other people, right?
Yep. And the seeds we plant can pretty much be used for any fantasy RPG, not just for Palladium.
But our focus is Palladium Fantasy, second
course,
edition.
Yeah, second, yeah. All right. So what is our first seed?
So we came up with a bunch of little seeded ideas, and the first one is the Poison Grove. A cursed rune weapon was buried centuries ago. Now the forest above it is dying, and something angry stirs beneath its roots. Does that sound intriguing to you?
It does. If you know anything about the history of rune weapons in the Palladium world, they have a very dark history dating back from the Elf-Dwarf War.
Yeah.
They're extremely powerful weapons. A lot of them are intelligent, I believe, as I recall.
Yeah.
And so what's the connection between the rune weapon and the thing that is buried? Could the rune weapon either be a weapon of the thing that's buried and it's just holding it, or is the rune weapon some sort of thing that's holding the creature or whatever it is in place?
That's an interesting idea. Like they maybe during the war they came upon this creature and they were like, oh crap! So they came up with one of these runic weapons to keep the creature at bay underground, and this is what's lurking below. Maybe the runic weapon is starting to fail. I don't know. Maybe it's deteriorating a little bit so that the creature or whatever it is that stirs beneath the roots has started to gain power, and he's starting to push his way out slowly but surely. When you kind of get like a little crack in a windshield, and over time the vibrations kind of make that crack a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger until the whole windshield kind of gets that crack.
There is also a possibility because, like I said, as I recall, rune weapons could be intelligent. And
yes,
there's a possibility the rune weapon doesn't want to be a prison guard anymore. Maybe the rune weapon is somehow calling out to nearby adventurers to come and pull it forth like it's Excalibur. But the problem is, once the players pull out that sword, it's also going to release anything that sword was holding back.
I could see this intelligent weapon kind of using its powers to invade the dreams of maybe one of the selfish players or something of the group, and promising it, showing visions of this magical sword and him lifting it out of the ground in this rock, and raising it above his head and, having this amazing ability and him saving the world with this one weapon. Little does he know, when he pulls out that weapon, the beast, that whatever is stirring below, is like, roar.
That's true. But, if you want to do a little twist, there's also a possibility that the rune weapon could be holding back something good. You never know. I mean, it could work. It could work either way. The point is what is the connection between the rune weapon and what is below? What is the relationship between those two? And like I said, it's like a rune weapon is intelligence. They can manipulate you, dominate you, and all kinds of crazy things.
Maybe the runic weapon is a dwarven-based runic weapon, or seal for that whatever reason, and below is an old ancient avatar of an elven deity that was fighting in the wars, and the dwarves happened to, I don't know, get a number up on him or something. We're going for the good route here, or from their point of view, the good route. And the dwarves got an upper hand on him and trapped him under the earth using one of the runic items to block this deity in his avatar form underneath the earth. Now, maybe he's trying to get out and you release him and he's like, well, thank you. And, and he explains the story. Something like that could happen. And maybe you're releasing an elven god back into society. Well,
who knows?
Yeah.
But then there's also, even if something started out good, something that's been trapped underneath the earth for a very long time, well, they kind of tend to go insane. So, look at those insanity tables, and see how this entity may have been affected by a long bout of imprisonment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that there is a lot of possibility in that, in that storyline. It's just, you just got to work out the details about, what the runic weapon's goal or purpose is, and what the entity is that is trapped.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's something for you to just take a look at, and just like Rob said, flesh it out for yourself. We've kind of thrown out a little bit of ideas for you and how maybe we would handle it in our campaigns, but overall, it's your decision if you want to roll with that or not. Exactly.
Now, do you want to kind of go back and forth between mine and yours?
Yeah, you said you had other ones too. I want to hear yours.
Yeah. So mine's a little bit more simple and straightforward, but it's all about possibilities. So mine is just simply the characters find a large trunk washed up on the shore of a sea, lake, or river. As they approach, they hear knocking from within.
Burn it.
Who or what is in the chest?
Burn it. So they hear knocking. Do we hear voices coming out of it, or just knocks?
It's just somebody like banging on the inside of the chest, something or something.
Well, the average hero adventurer probably, I don't know, because this is fantasy world. So, I was gonna say, if it was normal times, modern times, people would instantly be opening it, going, "Well, there's someone trapped in there." So,
now, I have been thinking about what could be, just like in Brad Pitt at the end of Seven. What's in the box? Do your own Brad Pitt voice. So here's some possibilities of what's in the box.
Okay.
Obviously, one of the things I was thinking about is a potential sacrificial victim that was sacrificed to the sea, to the river, to the lake, maybe connected with a druidic order.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And of course, once the person is out, they'll be thankful, and maybe they'll reward the players, or maybe they might piss off the local druids for ruining their sacrifice. That could be it. Another thing, it could be some sort of undead that has been trapped in this trunk for whatever reason. And depending on what level the characters are, could be what kind of undead is trapped within.
Yeah, I mean, the knocking could be just scraping for all they know.
Yeah. Another possibility, it might be the trunk itself. It could be magical, and inside of the trunk is actually some sort of spirit or demon entity, almost like Pandora's box.
Yeah, depending on what story of Pandora's box. Yeah.
Right.
Imagine releasing that.
in a lot of ways, it's like this is sort of like Schrodinger's cat, right? It's like until you observe what's in the box, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. I like that one.
There
The
you go.
box, the mystery box. It could definitely kick off something bad. It could be absolutely nothing. Who knows?
Yeah.
It
So,
definitely,
all right,
yeah.
your turn.
So next one I have is the Missing Caravan. A merchant caravan carrying rare magical herbs has vanished between two cities. Local rumors blame demon wolves, but survivors tell a much weirder story. So the merchant is carrying magical rare herbs between two cities. Maybe he goes back and forth and delivers things and sells things between these two major cities. And then one day he just goes missing. And the survivors of his caravan, which obviously he's going to have some type of guards or something like that,
Hmm.
traveling between cities, tell stories of these weird creatures with red eyes that, you know, are there one moment and they're not the next moment, and they tried to hit them and their swords just went right through them and they couldn't believe it, that they just turned into these gaseous forms. And all of a sudden the creature was on their arm and bit their arm. They show marks on their arm, their forearms, of these like bite marks, and they don't look like normal bite marks of like a wolf or let's say a bear, for example. And they're
Hmm.
just weird bite marks on them. Could it be a wolf? Could it be a demon? Could it be a vampire? Who knows? Though a vampire would probably rip them to shreds.
Yeah.
Palladium.
So to me, the most important part of this scenario is, of course, the herbs. What are the herbs? What are they for? They're magical. Obviously, something I think wanted to prevent the herbs from being delivered to the town. Okay.
Yeah,
Question is why? Obviously, they probably have some sort of healing properties, right?
true.
So what if there is some, like, let's say a summoner, right, who has made a deal with some sort of possessing entity
Okay.
or something that causes infection or things of that, something like that. But they know that this particular herb can heal the disease, right? Or so the first thing you want to do is make sure that nobody can be healed. And this magical herb, the delivery of it needs to be stopped.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
especially if that summoner wants revenge and doesn't want it to be stopped. Yeah.
Right. And there's a good possibility that maybe the leader of the town is the target, and of course this plant is like the only thing that could heal the king or the ruler, whoever it happens to be, of this magical disease. So they're trying to eliminate any possibility of the players being able to save the people or the NPC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so like I said, I think that the plant is the object of the attack, and the demon wolves are just like, the minions. They were summoned by a summoner, something of that nature, and they were sicked on the caravan. Just simply to stop the caravan from making the delivery.
When I wrote the idea, I was actually thinking of a witch.
Yeah, a witch or a summoner. A
Yeah.
witch is actually probably just as good of an idea.
Yeah, because I was
So
thinking a witch is doing this. She doesn't want the herbs getting to the town. She has her she signed the pact that allows her to have these various
yeah, powers, things of that nature. Like
powers
you have
and
like the axe.
familiars, and it's not called familiars. I believe it's called something else. Minor
Actually, I think it's
demons, I think it's called, or
Actually, I think it is a. I think it's a
is it?
because on the witch they have the nipple, the third nipple for the for the familiar to suckle upon.
Yeah, that definitely was an odd one when I read that one first back in the 90s. I was just like, I don't remember witches having third nipples, but hey, whatever.
Well, no, that's actually more of a historical thing, because that's like during the witch trials and stuff like that. When people were accused of witchcraft, they were one of the things that they were examined for was the third nipple that supposedly fed their familiar. So that's directly from the witch trials.
Huh, okay. I never really honestly knew where it came from, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest. So
Yeah. Well, if you like I said, that's the thing. That's the kind of the cool thing about Palladium is that they draw a lot from.
folklore.
I mean, not saying like necessarily like hardcore history, but they draw from actual written tradition. For instance, the emphasis on sacrifice for druids and things like that. that, of course, the druids were known for sacrifice, sacrificing animals and, people and stuff like that, and those in that tradition. So yeah, I mean, there is a historical context to it.
All right. Well, what do you got?
Yay for the third nipple, right? All right. So my my second idea is the characters find a floating dagger in the middle of the nowhere. The point of the dagger is pointing west or east or whatever direction. As the characters approach, the dagger keeps just out of reach. It seems to be leading them somewhere.
Oh, that's the end. The dagger's leading them somewhere.
They find a magic, like you're walking along, and like you just all of a sudden you find this magical floating dagger that's it's horizontal, and the point of the dagger is pointing whatever direction it needs to point. But when the characters try to reach it, it kind of flies out of their reach, and it seems to want them to follow the dagger, and they just follow the dagger. If they follow the dagger, it will take them somewhere interesting.
Instead of the traditional, you see a dog and the dog's barking, and you try to get to the dog, but the dog runs away, and you want you to follow him.
Yeah.
It's a dagger this time.
Yeah, it's a magical dagger that's leading the character somewhere.
Are they luring them into danger or luring them into treasure? Who knows?
So a couple of possibilities I was thinking is that the dagger, of course, the dagger itself is magical, and the dagger was kind of thrown out. Like, imagine somebody who's a prisoner, right? They're a prisoner somewhere, and they're like, if I could just lead somebody here, maybe they can free me. So they have this dagger, they throw it out the window, it goes off someplace, any place that it might run into people.
Yeah.
First group of adventurers comes along, it tries to lure them to the spot where its master, whatever you want to call it, creator is. And then once the dagger gets there, then the players can deal with trying to either free this person or make a deal with them, whatever they want to do. Or it could be a trap. It could be a way to lure adventurers into a booby trap of some sort.
Yeah.
Sure. I prefer the idea that the dagger is leading them to someone for them to speak with,
Okay.
make a deal with, not just, I mean, to me, because one of the things is if you use it as a booby trap lure, then the players will kind of stop trusting you, because it's like you want to draw the players into a story, not draw the players into a situation where, well, we're not going to never do that again. We're not going to trust that kind of thing again.
What's the fun?
So now, like I said, it's like you're literally drawing the players into a story, and who is going to what type of self proclaimed adventurer is going to ignore a floating dagger?
My group.
Oh, there you go.
They wouldn't trust it a million miles.
Hey man, we got some crops to plant. We're not messing with no dang daggers.
Yeah, maybe that dagger actually is luring them to a really bored dragon who wants to talk.
There you go. It could be anything. It could be anything like that. Because maybe because like I said, this could be like kind of in the middle of nowhere, and somebody's just like, you know what? I just want somebody to show up. So I'm gonna throw this dagger out there, something that is gonna be irresistible to for people with any type of curiosity,
right?
And just to bring them to this spot for whatever reason.
There we go. Okay, interesting. All right, so my next one is called the Heir's Reflection. The heir to a noble house refuses to be crowned. They claim their reflection has been replaced by something else. And I'll have to admit, I kind of stole this idea from, you remember the movie Insidious?
Yes.
And how he had that like old hag kind of every time he went into like that other realm, she was lurking around him, always over his shoulder. Every time they took a picture of him and stuff in the past, there was always that evil demon old lady spirit that was hanging around waiting to take his soul. Maybe that's where I got this idea from.
Yeah.
Maybe the noble noticed by using, I don't know, a scrying mirror or something, or a crystal ball. He noticed something that was off over his shoulder, and that's why he's like, no, I can't be crowned, because then someone's going to take over me and make bad decisions for my kingdom. What were you going to say?
This reminds me a little bit of the Mirror of Life trapping.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I actually used this in a game one time where the players were dealing with a dragon that was trapped inside this mirror, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a while because I can't remember how exactly it was resolved, but it was actually pretty cool. The dragon, and I also believe the dragon disguised itself as a normal person.
Oh.
So people, yeah, so you didn't know it was a dragon when you looked at it. So the situation with this situation is like, what if it's the mirror itself that's cursed? What if it is something like a Mirror of Life trapping? What if the mirror is like, it's not all at once, but what if that mirror is slowly drawing out the soul of the monarch or the prince, right?
Yeah.
And if and if somebody doesn't stop it, either the first, the prince will simply just go insane, right? Or two, they end up their body ends up dying, and their soul is trapped in this mirror for all time.
Yeah, another possibility. Yeah, definitely. That works.
Yeah. Now the thing about it is like, where did the mirror come from? If the if the players investigate, if they basically hone in on the mirror itself and not try to treat what's in the mirror as a monster, but it's the mirror itself, they may find out that mirror was a birthday gift from an adoring uncle
who just wants to be crowned.
Yeah, who just happens to be in line for the throne. But boy, that pesky prince is in his way. Now, do you think that the people are going to want to crown an obviously insane lunatic as their king, right? Or somebody who's simply dead?
Good thoughts there.
Yeah.
What's next?
Let's see. Mine. I went a little meta on this one.
Okay.
Okay, so the characters find a village, but when they try to interact with the people, they are totally ignored. If they push a villager, they will fall to the ground, get up, brush themselves off, and continue on their way. If they kill a villager, someone will come along and say, "Someone will pay for this," then walk away as if nothing happened.
Sounds like puppets. Definitely sounds like puppets to me.
Yep.
I don't know. That's an odd one.
A village of NPCs.
Well, yeah, I mean, the NPC is correct, but
well, no. But we're talking about like NPCs with it, like on a meta level. Like, for instance, do you recognize the line, "Someone will pay for this," as they're looking down at the dead body?
I do, but I don't know where.
Oblivion, Skyrim.
Oh yeah, okay.
Somebody will like come along and see the dead body on the ground. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna find out who did this," and then they walk away.
Never to investigate anything.
Yeah. So, it's like I got a little meta on that one. But the idea is, what is going on with the village? Are the villagers even real? If they are real, are they under some sort of spell? Are they some sort of creation? Have you stepped into some sort of little pocket universe? Right? So it's like one of those things that the players will have to investigate to find out what happened to these people, and could it possibly be, if they stay there too long, they themselves will fall under this spell and become mindless drones that simply walk around the village and doing like preset paths and preset things, and that they can never deviate from.
Interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little meta, but
it works.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last one that I'm going to go over is the Blood Moon Pact. An obscure cult has promised the villagers peace if they hand over their children the next blood moon. Strangely, the villagers are eager to comply with this demand.
What comes to mind for me is Village of the Damned.
Yeah. Village of the Damned.
Is that where is that the inspiration?
Village of the Damned was kind of the inspiration for that one. Yeah. And there was a couple old Star Trek episodes that did things like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of the basis was that there was I don't know if you've watched the original series of Star Trek. You remember the one? Have you watched the original Star Trek? I'm saying yes, probably.
Most of the I think I've watched like probably 80% of the episodes. I know there's probably a few that I've missed, but I've watched a lot of the original series.
Yeah, there was a couple episodes where the people were, for peace, they all had to be going into this machine to be.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. To be killed, and they were all complying with it. Meanwhile, there was like a hidden agenda behind the whole thing. And also there was a Sliders episode, remember the TV show Sliders, where everybody was promised to go to the if they volunteered for the lottery and they won the lottery, their family would be taken care of and they would be sent to a different world, so to speak. Meanwhile, they were just being disintegrated. So
Did you ever read the original story of the lottery?
No, I never had. No,
it's a famous short story, and it's about matter of fact they've done a few shows based off of it. But the idea is that there's this it's a small town America, like right here in the United States, about like in the 1950s or something like that. And the people have a very prosperous town, but for some reason they got into this, and I can't remember why, but they have a lottery every year or two where the townspeople get together and they have a lottery, and whoever draws the wrong rock or whatever it is, the townspeople stone them to death as a sacrifice. Yeah, that's a very famous short story called The Lottery. Also, there, with the episode that you're talking about, Star Trek, it's like the whole idea was that they didn't want war to destroy their society.
Yeah, so people were predetermined to be killed.
Yeah, so they turned it into almost like a video game where almost like you're playing Battleship. Like if you're standing in this sector at this time and the computer dictates that section got hit by a missile, everybody in that sector has to report to the incinerators.
Yep.
To die.
It was kind of like one of those things. We know war is going to happen and there's nothing we can do to prevent it. So why don't we try to do it in the most humane, quote unquote, way possible and have a computer determine where things would be hit. And if you're there, well, then you volunteer to die. Otherwise, you live your happy ever after life. So
exactly. Now to tie back to the children here. So this also goes back to like Children of the Corn, or the Village of the Damned, those tropes. So imagine, if you will, this evil cult shows up. And they think they're going to be the villains, right? There's like, because when you go up and you're like, hey, we want to sacrifice all your children, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, great idea. they're like, what? And it turns out that the children are all like demon possessed or something like that. And so the cult goes from being the villains to being the unintentional heroes. Yeah. As they're trying to sacrifice these children who turn out to be little evil bastards. Yep. It turns out, it's like it can kind of turn things on its head, where the villains become the heroes by pure accident.
Well, they were also promised peace, and little did they know sacrificing the children in this scenario would also give them longevity as well. Mm-hmm. And maybe they figured it out over time, but didn't tell the cult about this, and that's why they were so eager to comply. Like, well, I guess if I give up my kid, I can live another 100 years. I think I'll do that.
Now, here's the situation that I don't think is addressed yet. Where do the players fit in this scenario?
Well, the players will come into the scenario for this one into the town, and maybe they happen to come upon one of those nights that it was a time to hand over a child or something. Obviously, heroes are not going to like that. Just like any good person in life, you stumble upon a situation where a child is being harmed or given up or being given somewhere, you're going to be concerned, like a hero should be. Like in all these TV shows we talked about, the good guys, quote unquote, were like, whoa, 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 what are you doing to this kid? And then they start looking into it and they find out about it. So now it becomes this whole, like, should they help the child? And then, like, in your situation, they're like, but the children are evil. And they're like, children aren't evil. And meanwhile, they help the child. And meanwhile, they help a demon.
There you go. So what would happen, like, if the players, if they figure out, because it's like, okay, on the surface, okay, they're helping a child.
Yeah.
But the moment they figure out that the child is not a child, but some sort of demonic thing that maybe just looks like a child, or it's a like, it could be a child that's possessed. So, but like, how many children are we talking about here? Hundreds of kids, or just maybe a dozen?
Whatever you want, it's your campaign. And maybe it's like a child on every blood moon.
Yeah. So, yeah, it would be an interesting scenario, because the players will simultaneously have to keep these children safe, but at the same time trying to cure the children or free the children from this demonic force, while everybody wants to just kill the kids. Everybody else is like, yeah, these kids have been enslaving us. The villagers are like, these kids have enslaved us for the past years. It's just like in Children of the Corn, right? When all the kids they go around and they start killing all the adults and things of that nature, because of the demon in the cornfields. So what if it was like, where the kids, they're just normal kids, but just like in Children of the Corn, they end up just kind of being influenced by something that convinces them to worship an evil entity.
They did a Star Trek episode like that too, with the kids with the remember, with the kids with the powers, and they kept doing this with their hands, and they did, like, they were able to do those magical powers and get rid of whatever they wanted, and they got rid of adults and stuff like that.
Well, there was that one where they it looked like it was an old town, and they went down, and there were all the kids there, but it turned out the kids were hundreds of years old.
Not that one, no.
Okay, because you remember that one?
Yeah.
It turns out, and it's just like, they just never aged, or they aged super slowly. But then when they got to adult, then they would start to wither and die away.
I think it was age 25 or something.
And no, I think it was 18.
Was it? Okay.
Because because I remember that episode, and it's like, they were all very old, but they were stuck in a childlike state. So that could be an interesting scenario. I know, though, but but the only warning I would give is, like, whether we like it or not, it's like, some people might resent the idea of being put in a position to potentially have to kill children or something like that, because I mean, it's just one of those kind of awkward situations, and it really depends. I think that scenario really depends on who your players are. Like, if they're the type of players that don't like to think outside the box, or don't like to think about problems, anything more complicated than evil kill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I understand that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So because you might just end up having your player say, "Oh, well, they're evil. Who cares if they're kids? They're evil. So let's just slaughter them, or let's just help the cult slaughter them."
Well, then, that scenario is just used up, and you move on.
There you go.
What's your last one?
Actually, that was, because we did 3 apiece.
Okay, that's
there.
Perfect.
We go.
So send us your Palladium Fantasy campaign scenes and seeds like we did today, and if it's crazy enough, we'll talk about it on on a future episode. Give you some credit. We'll just maybe flesh it out and see what happens, and just like we did today. So who knows? Just go ahead and go to railgunsanddragons.com. That's AND in between the railguns and the dragons.com. And click on there and give us your scenarios or seeds or ideas or what you want to hear about in future episodes. We'd love to read your email. Also, if you can head over to Spotify or Apple Podcast or something and leave us a 5-star review. We can, if it's on Apple especially, we can see who it is, and we can give you a shout out and say thanks for the 5-star review and your review as well. Spotify, you can't really see that. It just kind of give you star ratings, and that's it. Pocket Cast, too, will give you some type of rating. So go ahead over there and give us those ratings and make sure we get, lots of downloads. Share the podcast wherever you're sharing your podcast to do or don't or whatever. And we'll continue along our trend of Palladium Fantasy, and we'll be back next time. Another episode. We'll go back to maybe looking at the book and discussing some of the races or classes or something that we didn't talk about the last time. We'll figure it out and have a great show for you when we return. So with that said, I'm going to talk.
Bye, guys.
Wow, Rob didn't even get to say the name. All right, with that said, this is Vince for Rob saying good night, everybody.